Diagnosis, you've outsourced your brain. You're not confused, you're compliant. Independent thinking is easier than you think. But first, you need to admit you're not doing any. Let's be blunt. You've been running on borrowed opinions. Your taste is a collage of whatever your friends admire, whatever your feed rewards, and whatever your last situationship tolerated. You don't think. You echo. You don't decide. You drift. I know that stings. Good. Because until it stings more than your need to be liked, nothing changes. Here's the first harsh truth: most of your feelings are scripts. You learn them from the crowd. You mistake intensity for insight. If something is loud inside you, you assume it's true. It isn't. It's just practiced. Repetition turned noise into belief. Second harsh truth in relationships: the person with the strongest frame wins, not the person with the best heart. Attraction dynamics are cruel to passengers. When you don't decide who you are, you become whoever they need. That's why they lost interest. Not because you were too much, but because you were nothing stable. Third harsh truth: you aren't overwhelmed. You're underdecided. The pileup in your mind is the cost of refusing to choose. Choices clarify. Avoidance multiplies. Look at your last conflict. You felt anxious, so you rushed to prove you were not difficult. You over-explained. You apologized for things you didn't do. That wasn't empathy. That was fear wearing empathy's mask. You weren't being kind. You were trying to control their reaction. That's not love. That's management. You think you're sensitive. Maybe. But sensitivity without sovereignty is just reactivity. People smell it. It reads like neediness. Neediness isn't about wanting closeness. It's about outsourcing self-respect to someone else's approval, then panicking when the supplier delays delivery. Here's what's happening under the hood. Conformity bias. Your brain tags social agreement as safety. So you mirror opinions you don't hold to keep peace you don't enjoy. Authority bias. If they're confident, you assume they're correct. You rent their certainty instead of building your own. Spotlight effect. You think everyone is watching you. They aren't. They're watching themselves. That means you can choose differently with far fewer consequences than you fear. Intermittent reinforcement. That hot and cold partner trained your nervous system like a lab rat. You chase the next hit of approval. You call it chemistry. It's dependency dressed as destiny. You want attraction? Start with self-consistency. Real pull doesn't come from lines or games. It comes from being a steady signal in a world of static. People gravitate to clarity, not drama, not intensity, clarity. Let me make this painfully practical. The three-question filter for any decision: text or boundary. 1. If I didn't fear losing them, what would I choose? 2. If I knew I'd be loved either way, what would I say? 3. If this were my best friend's life, what would I advise? Answer. Act on the first answer, not the revised, safer one. That micro-defiance is where your spine grows. The because I said so test. You're allowed to want what you want without a dissertation? No. Thanks. I'm not available. That doesn't work for me. If you can't say those phrases without sweating, you're not kind, you're captured. The silence rep. Your impulse is to over-explain. Train the opposite. When someone pushes your boundary, say your line once, then be silent. Count to 10 in your head if you must. Let them fill the space. Most pressure collapses when you stop feeding it. The text delay. Your biggest mistakes happen in the first 30 seconds of panic. New rule: no reply for 20 minutes when triggered. Set a timer. Walk. Breathe. Your nervous system is a terrible author. Don't let it write contracts your mind has to honor for months. You tell yourself thinking for yourself is hard. No, the maintenance of pretending is hard. The cost of chasing approval is hard. The drama of being a human weather vane is hard. Independent thinking is simpler, quieter, and yes, easier than you think. It's just unfamiliar. Unfamiliar feels unsafe. It isn't. It's unlived. Let's talk attraction again. The most attractive trait isn't physical, It's direction. People feel safer around someone who knows where they're going, even if they disagree with the destination. This is why lukewarm go with the flow energy repels. Flow is fine when you've chosen the river. Otherwise, it's just drift dressed as zen. You worry honest boundaries will scare them away. Perfect. Let them opt out early. Rejection isn't failure, it's filtration. If clarity makes them disappear, they were never staying. Be grateful you found out in week 2 instead of year 2. Stop asking, what if they don't like the real me? Start asking, what if I don't like the edited me? I'm performing, you already know the answer. You don't. That's why you're tired. Here's your small shift for this week. Replace what do they want with what do I respect? Respect is the compass. Desire wanders. Respect holds. Do this today. Write 3 non-negotiables for how you want to be treated. Share them with no apology. Identify one opinion you've been scared to hold publicly. Hold it calmly. No fight, no lecture. Just own it. Choose one routine you adopted to please someone else. Drop it. Replace it with something you'd do if no one were watching. Expect turbulence. People who benefited from your compliance will call your clarity selfish, cold, or changed. They're right about one thing you changed. That's the point. You don't need a 30-day challenge or a perfect morning routine. You need to stop negotiating with your own voice. You need to stop asking permission to be someone you respect. This is the moment you choose. Passenger or pilot, echo or signal, drift or direction, say less, decide more. Your mind has been a rental long enough. Evict the tenants, attraction, power, and the price of obedience. Here's the truth nobody tells you: obedience kills attraction. You think you're being easy to love. You're actually being easy to replace. Read that again. Let it sting, because this is where most people rot in silence, confusing agreeable with irresistible. You bend, you fold, you mirror. You call it love. They call it boring. And then one day, they just stop texting. You think it's them. It's not. It's you. Your problem isn't that you're unlovable. Your problem is that you're forgettable. And forgettable people are the ones who never think for themselves. Let's go psychological for a second. Novelty bias. Human brains crave surprise. If you're predictable in the worst way, predictable in your obedience, you're noise, not signal, dominance principle. In social groups, the one who sets the frame earns respect. If you never set frames, you're the frame filler. Disposable. Emotional resonance. Attraction thrives on polarity tension between two strong, distinct forces. Kill your distinction. Kill the polarity. Harsh, but real. Your people-pleasing isn't kindness. It's self-erasure. You vanish piece by piece to make them comfortable. And when you're gone, guess what? They're gone too. Take relationships. How many times did you nod when you wanted to say no? How many weekends did you cancel your plans because they weren't in the mood? You thought you were investing. You were training them to believe you had no spine, training them to believe you'd accept crumbs. And then you wonder why they don't value you. Stop blaming bad luck. The universe isn't against you. You're just playing the game on mute. No energy, no edge, no self-respect radiating through your choices. Let me hand you the first key. Clarity is sexier than compliance. It's not what do you want. It's this is what I'm doing. You're welcome to join. Confidence isn't loud. It's decisive. And decisions born from your own values, not the group, not your parents, not your algorithm, create a gravity that pulls people in. Here's the paradox you refuse to believe. The more you dare to be disliked, the more you're respected and desired. Attraction grows where fear of disapproval dies. Let's dissect the cycle. 1. You want to be liked. 2. You give in too quickly. 3. They sense weakness. 4. Their attraction bleeds out. 5. You panic. Double down on pleasing. 6. They ghost. This is not fate, it's mechanics. You're running a broken system. So what's the shift? It's this: stop chasing, Their yes start protecting your no. Your no is the border of your identity. Without it, you're just a silhouette filled in by other people's markers. Want proof. Think of someone you admire, anyone. I guarantee what you admire is not how much they blend in. You admire their refusal, their audacity, their no. You want emotional impact. Here it is. Your need for harmony is why you live in chaos. Your obsession with being chosen is why you're always abandoned. Your fear of conflict is why you're living a conflict between who you are and who you perform to be. That conflict leaks out in your nervous laughter, in your "it's fine" really texts, in the way you flinch before answering. People feel it. Nobody wants to date tension bottled in skin. Let's go tactical again. The polarity reset. Next time someone asks, "Where do you want to eat?" you pick, "No debate. No, I don't care. Whatever you want." You pick. Small? Yes. Life-changing. Also yes, because leadership in micro decisions builds attraction in macro dynamics. The boundary flip. Instead of asking, "Is this okay with you?" tell them, "Here's what works for me." Pause. Watch. If they respect it, you've gained ground. If they don't, you've gained clarity. Both outcomes are wins. The delay rule extended. Don't just delay emotional texts, delay big life concessions. They ask you to move, to give up, to bend. Say, "I'll think about it." Breathe, reflect, decide for you, not for us. If us costs you, it's a scam. Here's the bomb: being loved for your mask is just being tolerated for your silence. You don't want that life. You want to be loved or hated for who you actually are, because at least then, the reactions are real. Most people never think for themselves because they're terrified of loneliness. They fear the void between pleasing everyone and finding the right ones. That void feels unbearable. But here's the final slap. The void is where your worth is forged. No void, no spine, no attraction. This week's shift: instead of asking what will keep them, ask what will keep me. Because if you can't keep yourself, you'll never keep anyone worth having. Stop being agreeable wallpaper. Start being a wall, a presence, a yes backed by 1,000 silent no's. Independent thinking is easier than you think. It just costs you the cheap comfort of applause. And what's applause? Really empty hands clapping while you starve inside? Choose respect over applause. Every time. Rewiring your mind from reactivity to authority. Your thoughts aren't yours until you can disobey them. Independent thinking is easier than you think if you're willing to break your mental handcuffs. Let's cut the therapy speak and talk mechanics. You don't have a confidence problem. You have a cognitive autopilot that's been trained by crowds, X's, and algorithms. You keep calling it my personality. It's not. It's muscle memory, and muscle memory can be retrained. Here's how your system actually runs. Trigger, narrative, state, behavior, result. You get a text delay trigger. Your brain writes a horror story they're leaving. Your body floods with cortisol state. You overtext or chase behavior. They pull away result. Then you tell yourself, "See, I'm not lovable." The system confirms itself not because it's true, but because you ran it again. Harsh realization. You mistake intensity for truth. If it feels strong, you worship it. But intensity is often just repetition plus adrenaline. A familiar lie shouted inside your skull. Harsh realization, Mar2. Your intuition is often fear in drag. Real intuition is quiet and specific. Fear is loud and vague. If your gut screams in exclamation points, it's not wisdom, it's withdrawal from approval. Harsh realization, number 3. You call it boundaries when it's control. The difference: boundaries describe your behavior, control describes theirs. If you don't text me by 9, we're done as control. If communication is inconsistent, I disengage as a boundary. One requires their compliance, the other requires your courage. We're going to rewire you with 3 levers: cognition, body, behavior, think, breathe, act. In that order and on your terms. 1. Cognition. Rewrite the script. In real time, the 60-second audit. When the trigger hits, grab a note on your phone and write 3 lines. 1. Story I'm telling, they're losing interest. 2. Evidence I have. They were in meetings all day. We've had great momentum. 3. Action I respect reply once. Then focus on my plan. You're not looking for the perfect truth. You're looking for the most useful truth that preserves your standards. Usefulness beats accuracy when your nervous system is hijacked. Frame replacement. Replace. What if they leave with, what if clarity saves me time? Replace what if they don't like this boundary with, what if this boundary is the cheapest filter I'll ever use? Your mind moves toward the question you ask most. Change the question, change the direction. The inversion habit. Whenever you catch a panic thought, invert it like a trader hedging risk. If I'm wrong and they aren't pulling away, my chase will cause the very outcome I fear. Now sit on your hands. To do body train. Your nervous system to stop begging. Your body is the loudest voice in the room. If you don't calm it, it will keep selling your dignity for a drop of certainty. Physiology first rule. Before any tough text, phone call, or boundary, do 90 seconds of physiological sighs, inhale through nose. Quick top-up, inhale. Long exhale through mouth. This is not wellness fluff. It dumps CO2 and cuts nervous arousal. Calm body, cleaner thought, exposure ladder. You don't beat neediness by reading quotes. You beat it by surviving microdoses of disapproval. Build a ladder. Step 1. Leave one text unread for 30 minutes. On purpose. Step 2. State a small preference, I prefer 7 p.m. Step 3. Make a plan without waiting for a reply. Step 4. Say no once this week with no explanation. Step 5. Hold a boundary when pushed, repeat once, then silence. Your nervous system learns safety through evidence. Hand it evidence by not dying when you stop contorting. The cold start. Every morning, do one cold start action. You don't want to do a workout set, a sales call, a 5-minute writing sprint. Not because discipline is sexy, because it teaches your body a new rule: we move before we feel like it. That rule bleeds into relationships. You stop waiting for perfect signals to act like the person you respect. 3. Behavior, make your standards. Visible attraction isn't a poem, it's policy. If your behavior doesn't broadcast your policy, your words are theater. Non-negotiable policy sheet NPS. Write 5 policies you will follow regardless of who you're dating. Example 1. I don't chase silence. 2. I state my plans once. 3. I match energy, not fantasy. 4. I never explain no twice. 5. I leave when I start negotiating my self-respect. Print it, screenshot it. When chaos hits, follow the policy like an airline checklist. Policies prevent panic pilots from inventing new procedures midair. Offer, don't beg. Stop selling yourself. Start offering time. I'm free Thursday, 7 to 9. Join if you'd like. If they push back with games, you mirror with calm distance. Feels like we're on different timelines. No hard feelings. Detachment is not cruelty. It's adulthood. Calibration versus compliance. Calibration is adjusting delivery while keeping your direction. Compliance is abandoning direction to avoid friction. You're allowed to soften your tone. You're not allowed to betray your policy. The 2-1 energy ratio. If you're sending 2 initiatives for everyone they send, you're parenting, not partnering. Pull back. Let them approach. Polarity demands room. Forensic honesty autopsy. Your patterns once a week. Do a post-mortem on one interaction. Where did I abandon my policy? What fear was I paying off rejection, conflict, scarcity? What would future me, who respects themselves, have done at T+0 minutes? How do I make that action easier next time? Record it. Rehearse it. You don't rise to your self-image. You fall to your systems. Build the system that makes courage cheaper than collapse. The shift this week. Replace. I hope they like me with, I hope I recognize myself. Replace I need closure with I need consistency from me. Replace what if they leave with what if I leave first when it isn't right? Final slap of truth, you are not stuck because you lack clarity. You're stuck because clarity would force a decision. And yes, making that decision is easier than you think. Painful, but simple. Choose the policy. Choose the standard. Choose the silence after you state it. That silence is where your power grows. Decide now. Are you building a spine or building a story? Pick one. Liberation. Choosing yourself without permission. Here's the real sickness you've been waiting for: permission to be yourself. And the brutal truth: no one is coming with the paperwork. Independent thinking is easier than you think once you stop begging for a stamp of approval. Let's drop the mask. You've wasted years bargaining with invisible judges, parents, teachers, lovers, bosses, friends. Half the choices you've made weren't choices. They were bids for validation. You didn't pick a career. You picked applause. You didn't pick partners. You picked acceptance. You didn't pick values. You picked comfort. And look at you now, safe, exhausted, resentful. That's the tax for outsourcing your identity. The permission myth. You believe life is a courtroom. Do the right things and the jury will nod. Wrong. Life is a market. You trade your time, energy, and values. The only question: did you trade up or did you sell out? Harsh truth number one. Your family's expectations aren't destiny. They're just projections. If you keep carrying them, you're not loyal. You're enslaved. Harsh truth number two. Your partner doesn't own your choices. If they can't handle your boundaries, they don't love you. They love your obedience. There's a difference. Harsh truth. Turn to three. Approval is rented. Self-respect is owned. Guess which one you've been paying interest on? Attraction reframed. Stop thinking attraction is about tricks. It's about energy. The strongest magnetic field comes from someone unapologetically in their lane. That's why people who don't care what anyone thinks draw crowds. It's not arrogance. It's authority. Authority over self. Here's the paradox: the more you center your life on keeping others, the faster you lose them. The more you center your life on keeping yourself, the faster the right ones stay. So let me hit you with this. If your presence requires betrayal of your own voice, your absence is the gift. The liberation process. 1. Audit your scripts. Write down 3 beliefs you live by that you never actually chose. Maybe it's relationships require compromise at all costs. Maybe it's stability means misery. Burn them. Literally, if you must. Ritual matters. 2. Test your autonomy. This week, make one decision that scares you precisely because no one around you would approve. Could be as small as saying, I don't drink tonight at a party. Could be as big as turning down a good job that feels like slow death. 3. Build scarcity of you. Right now, you give everyone unlimited access. Stop. Your time, your mind, your attention, scarce resources. Treat them like it. When you withhold, you gain leverage. Not manipulation, respect. 4. Shift from seeker to selector. Stop asking, do they like me? Start asking, do they qualify for me? Your vibe changes instantly when you realize you're the gatekeeper, not the applicant. The emotional cost. Yes, you'll lose people. Count on it. When you turn off the autopilot, passengers will freak out. Friends will accuse you of changing. Partners will weaponize guilt. Parents will drop the "after all I've done for you" bomb. Good. That's the purge. That's your filter working. Do not confuse their discomfort with your mistake. Their discomfort is the sound of you exiting their script. That's liberation. That's your birth. The identity challenge. Here's the hardest pill: you don't get to know the new you until you bury the old you. And funerals aren't fun. You will grieve your own compliance. You will grieve the easy comfort of being liked for the wrong reasons. You will grieve the certainty of your old cage. But grief is the receipt for freedom. Pay it. Don't cheap out. The new compass, tattoo this on your mind. Respect over attention. Standards over validation, direction over harmony. Every time you face a choice, run it through this compass. If the option scores high on respect but low on applause, that's the right path. If it scores high on applause but low on self-respect, that's poison, the last slap. Most people will die as echoes. Voices they inherited, scripts they never questioned, obedient, agreeable, erased. That's their fate, but it doesn't have to be yours. Independent thinking isn't about rebellion for rebellion's sake. It's about reclaiming your authority to decide, even if nobody claps. It's about walking away from borrowed identities and writing your own. You want attraction and authority freedom. It starts here. Stop auditioning for a role in someone else's play. Start writing your own damn script.